there. And as we've been telling you, the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda has said that he will call a referendum on the country being a republic within 3 years. Well, the latest country to become a republic was Barbados, which parted ways with the monarchy last November. And I'm joined now by Guy Hewitt, the former High Commissioner of Barbados to the United Kingdom. Guy Hewitt, very good to see you here. So Barbados cut ties with the Queen last year. We now have the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda saying that he intends to hold a referendum on the subject. Anthony Albanese in Australia is saying he's ruling that out for one term. But do you think there will be more sovereign states who are reconsidering their relationship with the monarchy now that the Queen has died?
I think in light of the transition, there is going to be more consideration given to this. But I think there's an important point to make about Barbados' journey to become a republic was not an anti-monarchic stance, but really a progression in terms of the journey towards self-determination. We broke previously with the Privy Council, and the Caribbean has a court of justice, has our final court. We saw becoming a republic and having a citizen as our head of state as just the expression of a national aspiration of self-determination. So I think when countries look at this, it's more along the lines of how do we see ourselves in the future, representing and speaking of ourselves, for ourselves, rather than necessarily a break with monarchy. Although that is a necessary result, I think what the motivators may be one towards that self-expression.
And how will the people of Barbados then respond, do you think, to the Queen dying? I mean, there was a complicated relationship. Some might see Barbados as having cut imperialist ties, for example, and a difficult past. So how are people feeling?
Well, I would say, I mean, speaking personally, there is that sense of personal loss. Her Majesty was an icon of the 20th century and into the 21st. Her life of service is one to be celebrated, and let me use this opportunity to convey condolences to all those around the Commonwealth, particularly the members of her family who are suffering this loss at this time. But Barbados will feel that loss because up to last year, she was our queen. She was the Queen of Barbados. And this is an individual that was held in very, very high regard in Barbados, and I dare say around the Commonwealth, which is an important point because even as Barbados and other countries may decide to create its own head of state, they will always be linked back to the UK, back to the monarchy in terms of being members of the Commonwealth. And I think one of the lasting legacies of Her Majesty around the Commonwealth was her role in keeping this family of nations together. As Sir John Major said, she was the invisible glue that kept the Commonwealth together, and we are very, very thankful for that.
And you met her on many occasions,
didn't you? I had the privilege of, and we shared two passions, the Commonwealth and horse racing, not necessarily in that order. Sir Michael Stout is from Barbados, and we have celebrated him as a champion trainer in the UK, and Her Majesty's passion for horse racing, everyone knew how great that was.
So how was she to deal with? How did you find her?
There was a resilience, a dignity, but also, I would say, a quiet faith that will have a lasting impact, I say, on me and all those who had the privilege of meeting her.
And what about King Charles? You've also come into contact with him, haven't you, in your work?
We have, and we worked, the Princess Trust International did a project in Barbados, and I was pleased that we were able to collaborate on that. But also, Barbados took an active role in ensuring the stability of the Commonwealth by supporting his succession as the head of the Commonwealth. And I think, given the time he has had to prepare for this role, given his experience in the Commonwealth, he is going to make an outstanding head. He has spoken to much of the issues that the Commonwealth is concerned about, sustainable development, the environment, small states. So we think he's coming into the role understanding its members, understanding its needs, and is going to help it go from strength to strength.
And tell us a little bit about why you think that the Commonwealth is so important. It's clearly a big priority for King Charles and was for the Queen. Why does it matter?
I think it reflects a significant legacy that is unusual within a European colonial setting. If you look across Europe, many of the former colonial powers have strained relationships with their former colleagues. The Commonwealth is considered a family of nations, and that family, I think, has been kept together because of Her Majesty, or through Her Majesty, who was able to move away from old redundant notions of imperial loyalty or European superiority and engage with the emerging heads of state from around the Commonwealth as her equals. And I dare say they responded very favorably and have stayed in the Commonwealth simply because she was able to make that adjustment and put aside old, antiquated notions. And I think King Charles is going to do the same and continue the legacy that his mother created.
Well, Guy Hewitt, former High Commissioner of Barbados to the UK, pleasure to have you here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.